Welcome to Falls Count Anywhere, where the wrestling ring meets the heart. Hosted by the gentleman Jody Powell, join us as we dive into the latest pro wrestling news and rumors, from the electrifying world of WWE to the inspiring stories of wrestling for Christ. This is your all-access pass to the action, the faith, and the hope. This is Falls Count Anywhere.
Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome to Falls Count Anywhere. I'm your host, the gentleman Jody Powell, and with me, as always, is the mad scientist Mike Buchanan, deep in his scientific laboratory. Mike, how are you, buddy?
I am fine, sir. How are things out in South Carolina?
Oh, things are nice and warm and humid and sticky and fantastic. I love it. It's nothing better than walking outside and immediately being cooled off by your own sweat.
Yeah, been there, done that.
Oh man, I tell you, it's interesting though. We've had some warm weather, of course, this summer, but it's coming up on late June, early July, and next week we are looking at mid 90s, which I know is kind of a cool front for you guys out in Phoenix.
Yep.
But it's going to be hot, man, hot. I tell you what I want to know is, what hot thing are you working on down in the lab?
Well, Jody, everybody's talking about AI this and Chat GPT that. So I'm working on building a consortium to answer the unanswerable questions. I've already signed Dexter from Dexter's Lab. I have Wile E. Coyote on this. I'm hoping to sign a couple more maybe before next week. If the audience is wondering what an unanswerable question is, here's an example. If it's neither here nor there, where is it?
And Wile E. Coyote's going to answer that. He's going to break out the Acme Unanswerable Questionator.
Exactly.
It's probably going to blow up in his face.
Well, then we'll know where Wile E. is at least.
Well, I mean, that will be where it is, I guess. Nothing like a good think tank, and you're well on your way to having some real brain power in that consortium. It's pretty good.
Brain power, there's none in WWE right now.
Are you kidding me? Oh my goodness. Oh boy, where do we begin, Mikey? Good grief.
That one lady in The Sound of Music said that you should start at the very beginning because it's a very good place to start.
No, it's not. I mean, even the beginning is bad. I mean, we saw last week on Monday Night Raw the beginning of the end, I think, for Goldberg's career, which I thought ended a long time ago. He looked old, Mike. And I mean, he's 58 years old. And I give it to the guy. He doesn't look 58. He still looked like he was somewhat in physical condition. I don't know how much of that is, synthetic or not, but, it looked like he just struggled to get in the ring. They took the camera off of him for a while. When he climbed the ropes to raise his arms to the crowd and Gunther was standing down on the floor, I mean, he even struggled to get up on the middle turnbuckle and do that. And Goldberg's never been like a proficient in-ring performer. Let's be perfectly honest. No one in the world needs to see this. And I don't understand why WWE insists on doing it. I don't understand why they're putting Gunther in this kind of position. And Mike, please tell me that we are not going to see what we saw a few years ago when Goldberg won the title and then lost it again at the next pay-per-view. We don't need to see Goldberg beating Gunther. We don't need to see Gunther getting a rematch at SummerSlam. I'm nervous. I'll be honest. I'm afraid that's where we're headed, man.
Now, I have heard a rumor, and this makes sense to me. Although I don't think it's the right title for him, but this does make sense for me. Somebody hypothesized that Goldberg, because it's in Atlanta, gets the W, becomes the champion. But he's so tired of whatever that Seth freaking Rollins cashes in immediately, beats Goldberg 1, 2, 3, and you have a new champion.
What a waste of the Money in the Bank briefcase.
What a waste of Gunther and a bunch of stuff, man.
Yeah, can't happen. Gunther's got to win this match. There's nothing good that comes from that title leaving Gunther.
Well, I know that, but here's the other thing. If you're going to give somebody a retirement match in their home flipping town, why have them lose?
Because that's the tradition of wrestling, man. Every time you go to your hometown, you get beat down. That's just the way it's been.
You might want to
part of the deal.
You might want to check with Bret Hart on that one. Just saying.
Well, he's never been one to follow tradition. It gets too in the way of his own selfish needs. But anyway, heaven forbid we drop the title when we're leaving the company. And speaking of which, John Cena's leaving soon, and he's still holding on to that title. But we've got the King of the Ring, which is number 2 in terms of what are you doing, WWE? Because now we have semifinal matches, and I know we had a couple of those on SmackDown Friday night. Of course, we record before SmackDown, so I don't know what happened between Sami Zayn and Randy Orton. I don't know what happened between Asuka and Alexa Bliss. I know what I want to happen. I know what I think is going to happen, but I don't know what happened. But I want to talk about Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso because this is probably the worst scenario you could have booked in the semifinals. And here's why. There's no win here. There's no win, Mike. If Jey Uso wins, you have completely buried Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes needed help to finish his story from Undertaker, Rock, Cena, all of these people coming back, and then this year at WrestleMania, he loses to John Cena, which was completely ridiculous. And Cena needed help to win. And it was just a debacle. The whole thing's been a debacle. But now you've booked Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso. So Cody Rhodes loses. What do you gain from that? 0. On the other side, let's say Cody Rhodes wins. Well, you've just completely buried Jey Uso because you've taken the title off of him, not at a PLE, but on Monday Night Raw, not to someone who was.
Oh, it's not a Monday Night Raw, isn't it? A Saturday night main event?
No. I'm saying he lost it to Gunther on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
So I mean, that in and of itself, quite frankly, is a smack in the face. The 50-day title reign, smack in the face. If he loses to Cody Rhodes, why are we supposed to believe that Jey Uso is main event Jey Uso? I mean, he's already going to be relegated to being a prop, much like they've done to Sami Zayn, by the way, which is a travesty and a complete waste of talent. However, Jey Uso will never be world heavyweight champion again. He won't.
He shouldn't have been in the first place.
Well, he shouldn't have been, but he was. And so, if you're gonna make a decision, then stand by your decision and build on it. If you experiment with the Intercontinental title, don't experiment with the world title. Come on. And they did, and they took it off of him too. And it's just Jey Uso is just getting a terrible, terrible deal here. Whether he deserves it or not, I mean, that's debatable. There's no win here. There's no win in this match. There's no winning in this tournament because Randy Orton is not going to win the King of the Ring. We've already had Orton and Cena. They're not going to put Sami Zayn over Orton. I believe Orton goes to the finals. And even if they do, they're not going to put Sami over Jey or Cody. They could put him over Jey, but I don't think they put Jey over Cody. It'd have to be some kind of schmaz ending, and even that's just ridiculous. So we're going to end up with, I think we're going to end up with Cody Rhodes, John Cena, SummerSlam. And it could be a situation where Cody gets back his title and Cena goes on, and maybe it's thanks to Ron Killings. Maybe the truth sets Cody free. But something, and then Cena can go off and battle Truth for the final part of his tour, and then just go away. That would be fine with me.
I think Cena has to have the belt in his last match, one way or another, by hook.
And he may. So that means you're going to bury Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam.
I'm going to bury somebody because it's John Cena ruining wrestling.
So tired of that. Tired of that story arc. I mean,
you're preaching to the choir,
and it's been so mishandled. It could have been a really cool story, and there's just been poor booking decisions along the way, in my humble opinion. I have other opinions, but they're about wrestling for Christ. So when we return, fans, we're going to talk some WFC right after these messages. Stay tuned. Hello, wrestling fans. The gentleman Jody Powell here. I believe it is our civic duty as Americans to explore space. So we need to go to Amazon and help Jeff Bezos turn more celebrities into astronauts. And in order to do that, you should go search for this book written by my good buddy Mike Buchanan. Feeling down? Look up. All right. So maybe it's not going to create more astronauts. I mean, are they really astronauts? But what it will do is it'll help Christians walk through this crazy, broken world. Feeling down? Look up. Get your copy on Amazon today. Well, fans, welcome back to Falls Count Anywhere. And now it's time to dive into the world of wrestling for Christ. And this past Saturday night Praise and Power Hour. I tell you what, Mike, we saw a lot happening in terms of title pictures. First of all, we had Sexton Barker from The Enlightened, apparently the Enlightened champion, whatever that means. Knock off Zachariah Cutter of Perfect Vision, that granting The Enlightened a rematch at the WFC World Tag Team titles down the line. And so we'll have to see there. And a lot's happening with this group, The Enlightened. They've kind of latched on to the WFC. I was kind of hoping we'd have an appearance or two and on they would move. But apparently they feel the need to show everyone in the WFC that they are the supreme tag team in the land, and want to enlighten everyone as to that fact, including myself. We've had some barbs going back and forth on social media. They create these promos on Facebook, and their last one mentioned yours truly, and how I need to be enlightened to the fact that they are the best tag team. And so, I not being one to be short on words, I kind of jabbed back a little bit and said, hey, if you want the world to know who you guys are and what you're about, let's sit down and have an interview. Well, I got invited to their creepy barn.
Nice.
I don't know. It's way out in the middle of nowhere. I don't know what this thing is, man.
But Jody, maybe you can ride horses after it's over.
I'm sure you can. I'm sure there's plenty of horse farms. I mean, it's out in the agricultural district of North Carolina somewhere. Listen, I'm not looking forward to this, but I'm going to go do what I do, and that is to get to the bottom of it. And so at some point we'll head up to the mid-state of North Carolina, somewhere up in that area. And we'll go to the Enlightened compound, I guess, and see what the boys have to say. Jedediah and Sexton Barker, the Enlightened champion, the chosen one. So they say. So we'll see. And then, of course, that will happen, I'm sure, before the World Tag Team title match is going to happen, which is going to be an incredible match with Perfect Vision and the Enlightened. The first one was really good as well. I've apparently made the mistake in assuming that Jedediah was the leader of the Enlightened. Apparently it's Sexton Barker, this chosen one. Jedediah is their prophet, so to speak. So they were quick to point out that correction for me. But curiosity always killed the cat, but it also always intrigued me. So I'm curious. I want to know what's going on. I want to know who these guys are. So we're going to head up there and we're going to talk to them. We're going to find out, get to the bottom of it, find out who the Enlightened really is. And
how has the Enlightened tried to convert anybody else down there in WFC to their way of thinking?
I don't know that it's a matter of conversion. I mean, I don't get that this is kind of a religious thing. I feel like they have a message to tell about who they are, and that's what they're trying to do in an unconventional way.
If it's a message, it still sounds like a cult to me. If it sounds like a cult, it's religious.
It gives off those vibes. I don't know. I don't think it's like a religious kind of thing here. I think it's more of a. Honestly, I think it's more of an intimidation kind of thing. They're looking to become world tag team champions. They're trying to find ways to get into their opponents' heads, and quite frankly, they're doing it, among others. So we'll see if they can crack the old noggin and get into mine. They might run screaming. I'll tell you something else that happened Saturday night, Mike.
What's that?
Nathan Sawyer
is
now the former WFC Abundant Television champion, all thanks to Dylan Dollar. Imagine that. Dylan Dollar, the foundation, interfering in the match. Apparently, 2 weeks ago, we saw the Duchess, the commissioner of the WFC, the Duchess of Professional Wrestling, whispering something to Kenny Austin at the end of the show. And she said we'd have to tune in next week. Well, next week was last Saturday, and it turns out that what she was telling Kenny Austin was that he was going to have a match for the Abundant Television Championship against the Mad Dog Nathan Sawyer. Well, not only did Nathan lose the title, he had the belt stolen from him at the start of the show by none other than Dylan Dollar, walking through the locker room, saw the belt, helped himself to a 5-finger discount, took the belt with him. Kenny didn't even get to have the belt when he won the match. And Dylan Dollar making some kind of reference to Kenny Austin that remember that he owes him a favor. Well, that's the last guy I'd want to owe a favor to is Dylan Dollar. That's for sure. No telling
Dylan Dollar or Paul Heyman.
I mean, really, the similarities are striking. And he was on commentary with me. As we heard last Saturday night, and he does not need to quit his day job. I'll tell you that. He may be the wrestling talent, but the voice talent, he is not. That would be me. So stick to your job, pal. And I'll try to stick to mine unless you stick your nose into my business again, and I'll knock it off. But anyway, listen. If the price of that is a slap by the commissioner, I'll pay that price. I've been slapped by before, as we saw in the ring.
Have you been slapped by better?
Look at you trying to get me in trouble. I'm not answering that question. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to tell the fans to stay tuned, because coming up after the break is our favorite part of the show. It's Finding Tomorrow, where we're going to talk about some very relevant and poignant topics that are going on in the world today. Stay tuned, fans. We'll be right back with Finding Tomorrow. Hello, wrestling fans. The gentleman Jody Powell here, and I want you to go to Instagram, and I want you to follow me, Gentleman Jody Powell. We're going to get backstage exclusive video of WFC, of Falls Count Anywhere. We're going to talk about the WWE. We're going to hear from WFC superstars. We're going to talk about Finding Tomorrow. We're going to go live. I don't even know what that means, but we're going to do it all on Instagram. Come down, follow me, Gentleman Jody Powell. You'll be glad you did.
Hi, I'm Jeff Dixon, and like many of you, I sit around sometimes and I think to myself, what would I like to watch on TV? Chris Whaley, sitting here with me. You ever had that problem?
All the time, and I have come to a great answer also.
What's your answer?
There's a great show called The Clash.
Wow, that sounds like fun.
Yeah, and guess who are the hosts of that?
I have no idea.
Jeff Dixon and Chris Whaley.
I would love that show if I could get a chance to see it.
Comes on every Monday night on Abundant TV at 7:30.
Now, is that Eastern Standard Time?
Eastern Standard Time.
7:30?
7:30.
Monday night?
On Monday nights here on Abundant TV.
Well, there's the answer then. If you need something to watch,
join us. And we'd love to have you.
Welcome back, Wrestling for Christ fans. This is recording a week after one of the biggest, most surprising battles in the history of the Mideast. Israel, a country the size of the state of New Jersey, attacked on their own land the Republic of Iran. Now, depending on who you talk to, Iran is about 80 times the size of Iran. Iran has stated multiple times through multiple leaders, we want to do two things. We want to kill the little Satan, which is Israel, and then that's just warm up. After them, we want to kill the big Satan, which is the United States of America. Israel was convinced that Iran was just days away from having nuclear weapons. Negotiations were not going the way they wanted to. And they stepped up and TCB'd, took care of business. Now you're going, mad scientists, have you really done that mad? What does this have to do with finding hope for tomorrow? Well, here's where it comes in. You've heard the gentleman and I talk a lot about the faithfulness of God, when he doesn't miss anything ever. So check this out. This is from Psalm 121. He says, the psalmist says, indeed, he, meaning God, who watches over Israel, never slumbers or sleeps. It's one thing to have an ADT alarm system. One thing to have a Pinkerton's alarm system, a security system. I would laugh at those. See, but also prevent those, not a problem. And in all seriousness, the ratio of missiles that are hitting through compared to those that are not is just off the charts. So the Christians that are into this, that are watching this closely, know that God is doing more than the Israeli army. So he's doing what he promised. And here's the other thing that's honestly hard for me, but I think that y'all can apply it to your lives. Sometimes we want the bad guy to receive what's coming to him. You know, somebody we don't like at work receives a promotion and he's barely able to sharpen a pencil, let alone be head of a department over you. I mean, what are we talking about? But, you know, the Lord doesn't want us to do that. He doesn't take joy. You know, in Ezekiel 33:11, he says, I take no pleasure in the death of the wicked. And it makes me especially stop and wonder, okay, if he's not pleased with the death of the wicked, what does that mean for me? We've only done this once before, I think, but I'm going to have the gentleman do me the honor of reading something from a book that he has stashed away on his bookcase somewhere.
This the old Feeling Down, Look Up book, written by the mad scientist, Mike Buchanan. You can get your copy on Amazon, and you should. And you'll be able to read this for yourself. This is called Peace in Wartime. Many of us will never know the trauma of actual war. Yet with crime setting records of the worst types, it can certainly seem like we are living in battle zones. Whether it's nation against nation or race against race, violence is rampant. Unfortunately, here in America, we have again become a country that has become extremely divided. Peace can be hard to find among our fellow countrymen. Yet even though all of this, we can indeed find peace. At times, we can help to bring about peace. In the Beatitudes, Jesus told his listeners, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. That's Matthew 5:9. Using this as one example, we see an encouragement to try to make peace when we can. Sometimes, however, we need someone to tell us we can have peace, not just help administer it. Maybe we're in a dangerous situation. Perhaps a loved one is in harm's way defending the country. We might feel attacked supernaturally. Whatever the case may be, it is beneficial to remember to look to the Prince of Peace, Jesus, when the battle rages at its worst.
Thank you, Jody. Jody, you want to speak on either Israel or that chapter or whatever else is on your mind about all this?
Well, Mike, I've always been fascinated with end times, and in thinking about how the events are going to unfold, realizing that they haven't happened yet. So many times we do Bible studies of things that have happened, of things people have said, of miracles that Jesus has performed, of prophecy that's been fulfilled. It's exciting to me to know that there are things that are going to happen that are biblical that haven't happened yet. Maybe they're going to happen in my lifetime. Maybe I get to be a part of it. Maybe I get to see it. It's not witnessing history, man. It's witnessing God. It's incredible. And so I get so excited. And yet then we hear about things like nuclear bombs and missiles and ballistic missiles and the Navy charging over to that side of the world, airplanes and tankers and all of these things flying in droves over the Atlantic. And you realize that this is real. Like, these are real people. These are kids in our military that were, a few years ago in high school that are going off to battle. There are people, there are civilians, there are families, there are babies, there are mothers that are stuck in these cities that are being bombarded. There are kids that don't know what it's like not to have missiles fly overhead. And that becomes real very fast. And so suddenly the shine begins to wear off, and you can begin to feel uneasy, scared even. But the Bible tells us not to do that, not to feel that way. Yeah. In fact, Christ said himself, these things must take place. Fear not. Mike, we don't get political on this show very often, and for whatever reason, but Flag Day that came by last Saturday, June 14th, was also a No King's Day, apparently, in America. I didn't know we had that problem, but anyway. And we were at a WFC show in Cowpens, and I was in the ring. And as we do before every show, we were praying. And it was just laid upon my heart to pray for our nation, pray for the things that are going on in our world. And then really bring out the fact that there's no such thing as No King's Day, because there is a king. There's a King of Kings. And I am so glad and so grateful and so thankful to be on the team of King of Kings, because that's the winning side. You want to talk about the winning side of history? I heard that so much in protests. I heard that so much in on TV and in newscasts. You want to talk about being on the winning side of history? The winning side of history is the side that Jesus Christ is on. And that's not, as Paul Heyman would say, that's not a prediction. It's a spoiler, because it's spoiled in the Bible. It's right there in black and white. We win. And so that makes all of this uneasiness, all of this unsettlement, it makes it a little easier. It gives us a little peace. It gives us that blessed hope to know that, all of these things are supposed to happen, and that God is in control, even when it feels like he's not.
And the ultimate hope, I think, Jody, is what it says after all the wars and floods and everything. When you see these things happen, and it's where the book comes from, look up, because your redemption draws nigh. Now, I think there's something you want us to look out for after the show.
Well, hey, before I tell fans what they need to stay tuned for, shout out to my good buddy, Chris, who I met at Maggie Valley just this past weekend at WFC, big WFC fan, and a Falls Count Anywhere fan. Now, speaking of fans, I want you to be a fan of The Clash with Chris Whaley, Jeff Dixon, coming up next Stay tuned.